Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose. And Microsoft just dropped some Xbox news today that says a lot about their strategy and the direction that they're currently heading in. I mean, these past 12 months for them has been somewhat unorthodox, but seemingly they are dominating not only on their own platform, but interestingly, also on PlayStation. Yeah, after all those years of them allegedly having quote-unquote no games, they just destroyed that narrative, ironically even for PlayStation fans. So we're going to cover all of that, as well as a bizarre situation for Nintendo, as they're now being accused of flat-out lying to their customers. Who would have guessed after all of their miscues for the Switch 2? First, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with CyberPunk 2077 for the Nintendo Switch 2. This will be one of the first benchmark games for the platform, and even though it's not going to match, something like the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X, that's an unrealistic expectation to have, given that the Switch 2 is technically a handheld device. CD Projekt Red, however, is describing it as the definitive and best way to play it on the go. So allegedly, according to them, it will be a better experience than playing it on something like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. And that itself is a noteworthy achievement for Nintendo. I mean, they do have a lot more handheld competition than what they had back in 2017 when they originally launched the Switch 1. And I'll say competition loosely because these other handhelds aren't exactly as mainstream. But at the end of the day, for the Switch 2 to win a head-to-head for a big AAA game like this, that's promising for its future and what it could potentially behold for them. It once again just kind of shows you just how capable the Switch 2 truly is, and I think a lot of that comes down to their partnership with NVIDIA, which includes things like DLSS. DLSS is being utilized in CyberPunk 2077 for the Switch 2, so that's a big boon for them, and I think a lot of fans are going to be pleasantly surprised by the Switch 2 and its capabilities this generation. Now, speaking of surprises, Housemarque just dropped a free update for Returnal as a part of its 4th anniversary. I mean, it's actually kind of crazy that it's already been 4 years into the generation. It really doesn't feel like it's been that long. But nonetheless, Returnal just received a PlayStation 5 Pro enhancement. You can read their announcement here, which says, Returnal PS5 Pro Enhanced patch is out now, featuring up to 2.5 times the pixels on PlayStation 5 Pro for a higher resolution experience of Returnal. So, I mean, this is excellent news that adds more value for PlayStation 5 Pro owners, which, quite frankly, we kind of need that added value. I mean, it's a good console for what it is, and I think it will build a better reputation as time goes on. It's already shown its power this year with a few different releases, but at the end of the day, it is still a very expensive console. So anytime we can get a PlayStation 5 Pro enhancement that's actually worthwhile, that's always welcome. And even though Returnal is a bit older by this point, it's still arguably one of Sony's better games this generation. For that matter, this update could actually tide fans over until Housemarque's next game, Saros, which is planned for a 2026 release. Now, we also got another surprise update, because I guess that's just kind of the theme today, but this time for an even older game, 11 years old to be exact. So even I was shocked this time, but I'm pleasantly happy to hear this because Ubisoft announced a 60 FPS patch for the Far Cry 4 PS5 version. Now, if you're unaware of why this is only being announced for the PlayStation 5, that's actually because owners of the Xbox version have been able to play it at 60 FPS for years now, thanks to its FPS boost mode. So this is more kind of a catch-up patch for PlayStation 5 owners, but it's better late than never. A lot of people do consider Far Cry 4 to be a great game, and, that's not going to change all these years later, so this is only going to make it that much better. If anything, if you haven't played it before, well, now really is a good time to jump in. Okay, so let's go talk about Xbox, because Microsoft just dropped their quarterly results, and the bullet points for Xbox are quite eye-opening this time, in really more than one way. I mean, first off, it was a record-breaking quarter for them as their revenue increased by 5%, which implies Xbox made around $5.723 billion for the quarter. They also saw significant growth of 8% due to Xbox content and services, which is very impressive, albeit their hardware continues to decline as was expected. Their hardware saw a 6% decrease, which, I mean, that's going to happen when you de-emphasize hardware the way they've done with their more multi-platform approach. However, at the same time, from a business perspective, and this is what Microsoft truly cares about, this new approach clearly is working in their favor so far. You can see here posted by Tom Warren, they ended the quarter as the top publisher by pre-orders and pre-installs on both Xbox and, more interestingly, on the PlayStation Store. PC Game Pass also saw revenue up 45% year over year. That's extremely impressive and really tells you that their PC push is paying off, which kind of works into their future plans as well. There's a lot of leaks that points to their next console being a PC console hybrid. So that PC push is more important than a lot of people realize. Cloud gaming also set a new record, surpassing 150 million hours played for the first time this quarter. That's been a vital point for their "this is an Xbox" strategy, so even that plan is coming to fruition for them now. So really everything is just kind of moving in the right direction for Xbox. But I still think the most interesting part about all of this is the fact that Xbox was the top publisher on PlayStation. That's a loaded headline. I mean, here's their biggest rival as of just 2 years ago. And, PlayStation fans haven't exactly always been kind to the Xbox platform. The idea that Xbox has, quote-unquote, no games has been an ongoing joke for a better part of a decade, yet here we are. And the company that, quote-unquote, has no games is actually the top publisher on PlayStation with titles like Sea of Thieves, Indiana Jones, and Forza Horizon 5. It's just a little bit ironic that PlayStation gamers seem to want Xbox games after all. I mean, it's interesting what happens when you break those barriers down and remove the console warring mentality. Suddenly, people play games because they're fun rather than just pushing a toxic narrative online. And that, to me, is probably going to be one of the better things that comes from Xbox's new multi-platform approach. I feel like a lot of their past games haven't always gotten a fair treatment online, the Xbox tax, if you will. But if some of those games ever come over to PlayStation, I'm going to go ahead and predict that some of those games will be treated just a little bit different. I mean, Starfield as one such example. Now, I definitely don't think it's a perfect game per se. I think it's just simply solid. But even still, I've never seen a game have just so much ridiculous, absolutely absurd discourse before its release. And I believe that a lot of that came from the fact that it was an Xbox console exclusive. I truly feel like if it would have been a multi-platform title, that narrative would have played out in a different way. At the very least, it would not have been nearly as a toxic situation. But, either way, Xbox is clearly having a lot of success on PlayStation right now, and this is the exact reason why they're porting their games, and the reason that more will come. They're having success. So the only question now is what's next? Now, one last thing before we go, Nintendo is being accused of lying about their virtual game cards. It was revealed about a month or so back that they were going to change how gamers could share their digital library. They sold it in a way that they were being consumer-friendly and that you could treat your digital games in a similar manner to how you treat your physical games. You can simply lend them out, which I think is interesting on paper, albeit not necessarily a completely new idea. Game sharing has been a thing for quite some time, and the way it typically works is that you can share your games by including people into your family settings. Now, there are some downsides when it comes to that approach, so this new virtual game card idea from Nintendo could potentially streamline that idea just a little bit more if they can do it right. But apparently, it comes with a pretty significant downside. You can see here posted up by Nintendo Prime. He said what sucks is the 20.00 update should be mostly a positive thing overall, but Nintendo lied. Please, Nintendo of America, add back the original feature of two people sharing one copy of a game playing online together. You said the old system would still work. It doesn't. Not for online. You have enough wacky PR going on. Don't lie to your fans. Please patch this back in. Thanks. Now, a lot of people came down hard on Nintendo Prime for posting this and said, oh, well, that was some kind of exploit, but he actually had receipts with him. He showed proof that Nintendo used to have an FAQ on their website that detailed how you can do that. So Nintendo went out of their way and actively changed that, which is unfortunately a significant change for some people. I mean, let me just kind of put it this way. If you have a kid, and if you want to play with your kid online, or if you have two kids that wants to play online together, well, you used to only need one copy, even if you had two consoles. But because of this change, now you're going to need two games, which I don't think is okay at all. This impacts a previously consumer-friendly, family-driven feature. And when you think about it, why exactly did Nintendo discreetly, that's the important part here, discreetly change that feature? And I think we all kind of know the answer to that. It all comes down to money. They want those families to pay for two copies. And I think this is just another telltale sign of their obvious greed for the Switch 2. It's just been plaguing this console thus far. Let me know, though. Do you think this is a big deal or not? Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.